Hi, welcome to Lies and Secrets channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. Secret I had buried deep, a truth I wasn't ready to face began to unravel. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the choices I'd made, the people I'd hurt, and the path I would have to take to find redemption. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting and shocking stories. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow over the room. As I lay there, my thoughts tangled in a web of guilt and confusion. Rex, my loyal companion, lay beside me, his head resting on my chest, his eyes filled with an innocent trust that only deepened my remorse. I knew I had to change to find a way back to normalcy. Whatever that was now, my life had spiraled into something I barely recognized. Henry, my ex-husband, had moved out months ago, leaving behind a silence that was both deafening and liberating. But in that silence I had found solace in the most unexpected of places. The doorbell rang, slicing through my introspection. I gently moved Rex aside, his tail thumping against the bed in protest, wrapping a robe around me. I walked to the door, my heart pounding with a mix of dread and curiosity, standing there with Emma, my best friend since college, her face a mask of concern. "I haven't heard from you in weeks, and when I do, you sound off," she said, her eyes scanning my face for answers. I invited her in the weight of my secret, pressing down on me as we sat in the living room, the air thick with unspoken questions. I wondered how much to reveal. Emma had always been my confidant, but this was different. "I've been going through some things." I started, my voice barely above a whisper. "Things I'm not proud of, things that I need to stop." Emma's gaze was intense, searching what kind of things she asked, her tone gentle yet probing, the words caught in my throat. How could I explain the comfort I found in Rex's unconditional affection, the solace in his presence when the world felt too overwhelming? How could I articulate the realization that this was not just wrong but a sign that I was lost, desperately seeking connection in the most inappropriate ways? "I've been lonely." I finally managed the truth, a mere shadow of the full confession. "And I've been making choices that aren't healthy." Emma reached out, her hand covering mine. You can tell me anything, right? We've been through everything together." Her words, meant to comfort, only intensified the storm inside me. Could I really share this? Would she understand, or would it change everything between us? As we sat there, the silence stretching, I knew I was at a crossroads. The path I chose next would define not just my relationship with Emma, but my journey towards healing and self-discovery. The question lingered in the air, heavy and unspoken. What would I choose to do next? I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my confession pressing against my chest. "I've been intimate with Rex." I whispered the words, slipping out like a confession in a confessional heavy with shame. Emma's eyes widened, her hand recoiling slightly from mine. The room seemed to grow colder, the silence between us now charged with a different kind of tension. "You mean?" Her voice trailed off, unable to complete the thought. I nodded, unable to meet her gaze, my eyes fixed on the coffee table where our mugs sat, steam rising in lazy curls. "It started after Henry left. I was so alone. Rex was there, and he was the only one who didn't judge me, who didn't leave." Emma's face was a mix of shock and concern. "But that's not right. You know that, right?" Her voice was gentle but firm. "I know," I said, my voice cracking. "That's why I need to stop. I've realized how wrong it is, how lost I've become." She leaned forward, her expression softening. "I'm here for you, you know that. But this is something you need help with, professional help." The suggestion hung in the air, a lifeline I hadn't considered. "I'm scared, Emma. Scared of what people will think. Scared of losing Rex. Scared of facing what I've done." "You won't lose Rex," Emma assured me, "but you need to find a healthier way to cope. We'll find someone who can help you through this, someone who can guide you back to yourself." The idea of therapy, of opening up to a stranger about my darkest moments, was daunting. Yet as I looked at Emma, her face filled with nothing but concern and love, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way out of this dark tunnel I'd wandered into. "Okay," I agreed, my voice steadier. "Now let's find someone. I need to get better, not just for me but for Rex too. He deserves better." Emma squeezed my hand, her touch, a promise of support. "We'll do this together, you're not alone in this." As we sat there planning the next steps, I felt the first real stirrings of change. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges. But for the first time since Henry left, I wasn't facing it alone. The decision to seek help was small, but it felt monumental, like the first step on a long journey back to who I once was, or perhaps to someone new, someone healed. The days following my confession to Emma were a blur of emotions. We spent hours researching therapists, reading reviews and making calls. Each conversation felt like a step towards redemption, yet the fear of judgment lingered like a shadow. The first therapy session was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon. Emma offered to come with me, but I insisted on going alone. This was my journey, my burden to bear. The therapist, Dr. Elena Lucas, had a warm office filled with plants and soft lighting, which did little to ease the tightness in my chest as I sat down. "Tell me about yourself." Dr. Lucas began, her voice calm and inviting. I hesitated, the words heavy on my tongue. "I've made some mistakes." I started, my voice barely above a whisper. "I've been intimate with my dog, Rex." "Wrong. I know, and I want to stop." Dr. Lucas listened intently, her expression neutral yet compassionate. "Sounds like you've been through a lot. Can you tell me more about your life?" Before this started, I recounted the story of my divorce, the loneliness, the void Henry's departure had left. As I spoke, I realized how much I had been avoiding dealing with my emotions, seeking comfort, and the only constant in my life, Rex. We often seek comfort in ways that are not always healthy when we're in pain, Dr. Lucas said thoughtfully. But recognizing the need for change is a significant first step. The sessions continued weekly, each one peeling back layers of my psyche I had ignored. Dr. Lucas introduced me to coping mechanisms, ways to deal with loneliness, and grief without crossing ethical boundaries. Yet the progress was slow and the guilt remained a constant companion. Meanwhile, my relationship with Rex began to change. I started to see him not just as a source of comfort, but as a being with his own needs and rights. The realization was painful but necessary. I began to set boundaries, no longer allowing him to sleep in my bed, which felt like both a loss and a liberation. One evening as I was preparing dinner, the doorbell rang. Expecting Emma, I was surprised to see Henry standing there, his expression unreadable. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice trained. I nodded, inviting him in, my heart racing with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. We sat in the living room, the same place where I had confessed to Emma. "I've been thinking a lot about us." Henry started, his gaze fixed on his hands. "I heard from Emma about everything." The air thickened with tension, and I prompted, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm not here to judge you," he said, looking up, his eyes meeting mine. "I'm here because I still care. I want to help if you'll let me." His words, unexpected and sincere, threw me off balance. Here was the man who had left now, offering support in my darkest hour. The complexity of our past relationship, the love, the hurt, all came rushing back. "I don't know if I can accept your help, Henry." I admitted, the weight of my decision pressing down. "I need to find my own way out of this, but I appreciate your offer." He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Just know I'm here whenever you're ready." As Henry left, I felt a strange mix of relief and confusion. His presence had stirred up old feelings but also highlighted how far I had come on my own. The therapy sessions continued, and with each one I felt a bit more like myself, less like the shadow I had become. Dr. Lucas suggested group therapy where I could share experiences with others facing similar issues, but the thought terrified me. However, one session she introduced a new concept: forgiveness, not just for others but for myself. Forgiving yourself is as important as seeking forgiveness from others. She explained, it's about acknowledging your humanity, your capacity to err, and your ability to change. This idea resonated with me. I began to journal, writing letters to myself, to Henry, to Rex, expressing apologies, understanding, and the promise of change. Each letter was a step towards healing, towards reclaiming my identity. The journey was far from over, but for the first time I felt I was moving forward, not just surviving but beginning to live again with a newfound respect for myself. And for Rex, the path was still fraught with challenges, but I was no longer alone on it. The days melded into weeks, each therapy session with Dr. Lucas becoming a beacon of hope in the fog of my guilt and confusion. The concept of self-forgiveness was both liberating and terrifying, like standing at the edge of a cliff, contemplating the leap into unknown waters. One evening, after a particularly intense session where I had delved into the depths of my self-loathing, I returned home to find Rex waiting by the door, his tail wagging with a hopeful enthusiasm. I knelt down, wrapping my arms around him, feeling his warmth and the steady beat of his heart. "Sorry, Rex," I whispered into his fur, the words feeling like a physical weight lifting from my chest. "I've been selfish and I promise to do better by you." The next day I decided to take Rex for a walk in the park, something we hadn't done in a while. The air was crisp, the leaves rustling with the promise of autumn. As we walked, I noticed how Rex interacted with the world around him, his curiosity and joy unmarried by the complexities of human emotions. It was a stark reminder of his innocence and my responsibility towards him. As we rounded a bend, I saw a familiar figure in the distance. It was Henry sitting on a bench, his gaze lost in the distance. My heart skipped a beat, but instead of the usual rush of mixed emotions, there was a calm acceptance. I approached him, Rex pulling ahead, eager to greet an old friend. "Henry," I called out, my voice steady. He looked up, surprise flickering across his features before settling into a gentle smile. "Eh?" he responded, his eyes dropping to Rex, who was now nuzzling his hand. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I," I admitted, sitting beside him. "I've been trying to reconnect with life." I guess Henry nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "I've been doing some soul-searching myself. After our last talk, I realized how much I've missed out on how much I've missed you." The air between us was charged, not with the old tensions, but with a new understanding. "I'm not the same person you left, Henry," I said, my voice firm. "I've done things I'm not proud of, but I'm working on changing, on healing." "I know," he said softly, "and I want to be part of that. If you'll let me, not to fix things but to support you, to be there for you." The offer was tempting, a balm to the loneliness I had felt so acutely. Yet the journey I was on was personal, fraught with the need for self-discovery and independence. "I appreciate that, Henry, but I need to do this for myself first. I need to stand on my own before I can share my life with anyone else." He looked at me, his eyes reflecting a mix of sadness and respect. "I understand, just know I'm here whenever you're ready." We sat in silence for a while, watching Rex play with a stick, his simple joy a stark contrast to the complexity of human relationships. "I've started group therapy," I said after a moment, the words feeling like a confession of my ongoing struggle. "It's terrifying, but I think it's necessary." "That's brave," Henry acknowledged, "really brave." The conversation shifted to lighter topics, memories of better times, and plans for the future. It was a strange, bittersweet reunion filled with the acknowledgement of past mistakes and the tentative hope for future connections. As we parted ways, I felt a resolve solidify within me. The path to healing was not just about overcoming my actions, but about understanding my worth, my capacity for change, and my ability to love in healthier ways. Back at home, I sat down to write another letter, this time to myself. "Dear me. You've come far and the road ahead is still long. But remember, every step you take is a step towards who you want to be. Forgive yourself, not because you've forgotten, but because you've learned you are more than your mistakes. You are capable of love, of change, and of growth. Keep walking, keep forgiving, keep healing. Atreus with love, Atreus, yourself, Atreus." Sealing the letter, I placed it in the box where I kept all my letters of self-forgiveness. Each one was a testament to my journey, a reminder that while the past was still there, it no longer defined my future. The group therapy session was unlike anything I had anticipated. The room was a circle of chairs, each occupied by individuals carrying their own burdens, their own stories of pain and recovery. Dr. Lucas introduced me, her voice, a soothing presence in the tense air. "I'm here because I've made choices that hurt myself and others. I began, my voice trembling slightly. Choices I'm not proud of. But I'm here to change, to heal. The room was silent save for the soft breathing of those around me. Then one by one, others shared their stories. There was a woman who had lost her child to addiction, a man who had cheated on his spouse, another who had battled with self-harm. Each story was a thread in the tapestry of human struggle, and I found myself not just listening but truly hearing. A man named Tom, with gentle eyes and a voice that carried the weight of his years, spoke last. "I've been where you are," he said. His gaze meeting mine, the shame, the guilt, it's overwhelming. But here we learn to forgive ourselves, to move forward. His words resonated, and as the session ended, I felt an unexpected kinship with these strangers. They weren't judging me. They were understanding, offering a silent solidarity that was more comforting than any words could be. As weeks turned into months, the group became my sanctuary. I shared more, listened more, and slowly the layers of my shame began to peel away. I learned about boundaries, about the importance of self-care, and about the profound impact of empathy. One evening, after a particularly emotional session, I returned home to find a letter waiting for me. It was from Henry, his handwriting familiar yet distant. "Dear, your name, I've been thinking about our conversation in the park, about your journey. I want you to know that I'm proud of you for seeking help, for facing your demons. I'm here not to rush you, but to support you in whatever way you need. Take your time, heal at your pace. I'll be waiting, not with expectations, but with hope. With all my heart. Ace Henry. The letter was a balm, a reminder that despite the pain we had caused each other, there was still a connection, a possibility for something new, something healthier. The next group session I shared Henry's letter, not for advice but to express my confusion, my hope and my fear. The group listened, and Tom, with his seasoned wisdom, spoke up. Forgiveness isn't just about letting go of what others have done to us, but also about what we've done to ourselves. Maybe in time you'll find a way to forgive him and perhaps to love again. His words echoed in my mind as I walked home. Rex by my side. His leash as symbol of the boundaries I had learned to set. The night was cool, the stars bright, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of peace, a quiet acceptance of my journey at home. I sat with Rex, his head on my lap, and I whispered, "We're going to be okay, aren't we, boy?" His tail thumped in agreement, and in that moment I knew we were on the right path, the path of healing, of forgiveness, and of learning to love in ways that honored both ourselves and those we cared about. The climax of my story wasn't a dramatic confrontation or a sudden revelation. It was this quiet moment of realization, of acceptance, of choosing to move forward with compassion for myself and others. It was understanding that while the past shaped us, it didn't have to define us. The real climax was the internal shift, the decision to embrace change, to forgive and to heal, not just for myself but for Rex, for Henry, for everyone I had touched with my life. And in that choice there was a profound, quiet victory. As the weeks turned into months, the transformation within me was palpable. Each therapy session with Dr. Lucas and every group meeting peeled back more layers of my past, revealing not just the pain but also the strength I had buried beneath. One crisp autumn morning I woke up with a sense of purpose, the kind that had been absent for so long. Rex, now accustomed to his new sleeping arrangements, greeted me with his usual enthusiasm, his tail wagging, a silent testament to our evolving relationship. I prepared breakfast for both of us, feeling a lightness in my heart that had been a stranger for too long. Today was different. Today I was meeting Henry for coffee, not as a step towards reconciliation, but as a gesture of mutual respect and acknowledgement of our shared history. The cafe was a neutral ground, a place filled with the aroma of coffee and the soft hum of conversations, a stark contrast to the silence that had once enveloped our home. Henry was already there, his expression a mix of hope and apprehension. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice carrying a warmth that felt both familiar and new. We talked about mundane things, at first the weather, the latest book we'd read, the changes in our lives. But then the conversation shifted to deeper waters. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said about needing to stand on your own." Henry began, his gaze steady, "and I respect that. I've been doing some work on myself too, trying to understand that where I went wrong, where I could have been a better partner that we hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. I'm glad to see you on my channel if you like the content. Your support means a lot to me and motivates me to create new videos. Thanks for watching.